Good morning. Today we will discuss regarding digital tachometers and stroboscopic methods for measurement of angular velocity. So the classification of tachometers based on the data acquisition technique, it is classified as contact type and non-contact type. In contact type, the wheel of the tachometer needs to be brought into contact with the rotating object. In non-contact type, the measurement can be made without having to attach the tachometer to the rotating object. So in contact type, the tachometer it is in contact with the rotating shaft or the object, and in non-contact type, the tachometer it is not in contact with the rotating object. So the next classification that is based on the measurement technique. So it is classified as time measurement and frequency measurement. The tachometer calculates the speed by measuring the time interval between the incoming pulses. And the second classification that is based on the frequency measurement. The tachometer calculates the speed by measuring the frequency of the incoming pulses. Now regarding digital tachometers, the electromechanical methods used for measurement of angular velocity are satisfactory up to about a speed of 10,000 rpm. Higher speed measurements are possible with digital pickups which work in conjunction with digital frequency meters. The biggest advantage of digital methods is that no direct physical contact is required with the shaft whose speed is to be measured. That is the biggest advantage of the digital methods, that there is a no physical contact between the tachometer and the shaft. Therefore, no load is imposed upon the shaft by measuring device. Now, this is a block diagram of digital tachometer. So, various elements in digital tachometers are, so there is a optical or magnetic sensor, then signal conditioning element, then microcontroller, memory, external part that is connected to the controller, and you will see the display at the top. So these are the various elements of digital tachometer. Now the digital pickups are of two types. So first is photoelectric type and second is inductive type. Now regarding, so before that, we will see the comparison between contact and non-contact tachometers. So in a contact type, the tachometer has to be in physical contact with the rotating shaft. And in non-contact type, there is no physical contact of the tachometer with the shaft. Then contact type preferred, where the tachometer is generally fixed to the machine. In a non-contact type preferred, where the tachometer needs to be mobile. In a contact type, generally optical encoder magnetic sensor is attached to the shaft of tachometer. And in non-contact type, generally laser is used or an optical disc ID attached to the rotating shaft and read by the IR beam or laser. So that is the comparison between contact type and non-contact type. So digital tachometers are non-contact type tachometers. There is a no physical contact between the shaft and the tachometer. Now, the digital pickups or the digital tachometers are of two types. First is photoelectric type and second it is a inductive type. So regarding the first instrument, that is photoelectric tachometer, you will see the diagram. So there is a shaft whose angular speed or the angular velocity has to be measured. So this is a disc that is attached, that is called the opaque disc, that is attached on the shaft, and that disc having the holes on its periphery. So equidistant holes on its periphery. There is a light source and there is a light sensor. So which will count the pulses. So the light source, it is passed through the opaque disc. Now this method of measuring the speed of rotation consists of mounting an opaque disc on the rotating shaft. The disc has a number of equidistant holes on its periphery. At one side of the disc, a light source is fixed, and at the other end of the disc, a light sensor is placed. You can see in the diagram, on one side there is a light source, and on other side there is a sensor, it is placed. When opaque portion of the disc in between the light source and the sensor is unilluminated, produces no output. So opaque portion means it is a portion between the two holes. It is a solid portion. Through that the light does not pass. That is called the opaque portion. But when the hole appears between the two, a light falling upon the sensor produces an output pulse. The frequency at which these pulses are produced depends upon the number of holes and the speed of rotation. So you can see the working in this slide. On the rotation of the disk, holes and opaque portions of the disk come alternately in between the light source and the light sensor. When a hole comes in between the two, light passes through the holes and falls on a light sensor, with the result that an output pulse is generated. But when the opaque portion of the disk comes in between, the light from the source is blocked, and hence there is a no pulse output. Thus, whenever a hole comes in line with the light source and the sensor, a pulse is generated. These pulses are counted or measured through an electronic counter. So there is a counter to count the pulses. The pulse rate is a function of speed of rotation. The pulse rate can be measured by an electronic counter, which can be directly calibrated in terms of speed in RPM. So you can see the another diagram. So this is a construction and working of the photoelectric tachometer. Now we will see the advantages of photoelectric tachometer. The digital output voltage is obtained, and hence there is a no need of analog to digital conversion. So A to D converter, it is not required. So output that will get in a digital form. The pulses of constant amplitude are obtained, which simplify the electronic circuitry. Disadvantage: the life of the light source is approximately 50,000 hours. Hence, the light source needs to be replaced time to time. Then the accuracy depends principally on the error represented by one pulse. If period is too small, serious errors are caused. So these are some disadvantages of photoelectric tachometer. Then second instrument in the category of digital tachometers are tooth rotor variable reluctance tachometer. So that is also called a pickup tachometer. One, it is a inductive, another it is a capacitive, that is shown in a diagram. Now this is a tooth rotor tachometer. So it consists of the tooth rotor, then the magnetic pickup coil, and electronic counter to count the pulses. Now this tachometer consists of a metallic toothed rotor mounted on the shaft, whose speed is to be measured. So there is a special element that is called a toothed rotor that is mounted on a shaft, whose angular speed has to be measured. A magnetic pickup is placed near the tooth rotor. At the top you can see there is a magnetic pickup that is placed. A magnetic pickup consists of a housing containing a small permanent magnet with a coil wound around it. When the rotor rotates, the reluctance of the air gap between the pickup and the tooth rotor changes, giving rise to an induced EMF in the pickup coil. So when the shaft rotates, the EMF that is induced in a magnetic pickup. This output is in the form of pulses with the variety of wave shapes. The frequency of the pulses of induced voltage will depend upon the number of teeth of the rotor and the speed of rotation. Since the number of teeth is known, the speed of rotation can be determined by measuring the frequency of pulses with an electronic counter. So by using electronic counter, you can measure the frequency of pulses. So hence speed n equal to pulses per second divided by number of teeth, that is P upon T, that is revolution per second. A typical rotor has 60 teeth, thus if the counter counts the pulses in 1 second, the counter will directly display the speed in RPM. Now regarding, so this is a construction and working of the tooth rotor variable reluctance tachometer. You can see in a slide the construction and the working it is given. This is another slide of the construction and working. So you can see the frequency of the pulses of induced voltage will depend upon the number of teeth of the rotor and its speed of rotation. So number of teeth it is known, then the speed of the rotation can be determined by measuring the frequency of pulses with an electronic counter. So n equal to pulses per second upon number of teeth. So some advantages of tooth rotor variable reluctance tachometers are: it is simple and rugged in construction, it is maintenance free, it is easy to calibrate, and the information from this device can be easily transmitted. Now we will move on the next part to measure the angular velocity, that is stroboscopic methods. Now the stroboscope is a simple portable manually operated device which may be used for measurement of periodic or rotary motions. Basically, the instrument is a source of variable frequency flashing brilliant light, the flashing frequency being set by operator. The circuit use is based upon variable frequency oscillator which controls the flashing frequency. The speed is measured by adjusting the frequency so that the moving objects are visible only at specific intervals of time. If a strong light is flashed on a moving object, which at the time each flash occurs occupies a given position, the object will appear to be stationary. The stroboscope consists of a source of flashing light whose frequency can be varied and controlled. This source is called as strobostron. It is a hot cathode gaseous discharge tube. It has a cathode, an anode, and the two grids. One is called inner grid and other as the outer grid. The tube has a maximum flashing rate of 300 per second with effective discharge time of 10 to 100 microseconds. The discharge current may be as high as 300 ampere. A distinctive mark is made on the shaft or on a disc attached to the shaft. You can see the construction and working. A mark is made on the shaft or on a disc attached to the shaft. A stroboscope is made to flash light directly on the mark. The flashing frequency is adjusted until the mark appears stationary. Under these conditions, the speed is equal to the flashing frequency. Now it can be seen that not only will the stationary pattern be obtained when n equal to f, 2f or thrice f, etc., but also for certain values of n which are smaller than f, namely n equal to f by 3, 2f by 3, 4f by 3, 5f by 3, etc. So this leads to the conclusion that there is a great possibility of error when using stroboscopic methods. So when there is a when n equal to f or 2f or 3f, you will see the stationary pattern. Also the n equal to f by 3, 2f by 3 or 4f by 3 or 5f by 3, also you will see the stationary pattern. So that will be the there will be the great possibility of the error. Now it is clear that in order to avoid the mistakes in measurements, so it is safest to work with a single mark. It is safest to work with a single mark and to find the highest flashing frequency at which the true image is seen. As a check that the correct value of speed n has been found, the frequency may be doubled, which would produce a double image. Now consider a disk having 6 marks. You can see the bottom diagram having circles and the marks. So you can see the diagram at right hand side, bottom right hand side, having 6 marks as shown in the figure. This disc is attached to the shaft of the rotating machine and is illuminated by a series of successive flashes by a stroboscope. If the speed is such that each mark of the star moves forward a distance of 1 point pitch, that is, the pitch means it is a distance between two consecutive marks. During the interval between successive flashes, the pattern appears to be stationary. This speed it is called primary speed. The pattern will also appear to be stationary if the speed of rotation is exactly twice, 3 times of any multiple or this speed. When the disk appears to be stationary, the speed of the rotating machine is given by n equal to f upon m. F, where f equal to number of flashes per second and m equal to number of point marks. The stroboscope dial may be directly calibrated to read the speed. The value of the exact speed may be found as under. Single line image is obtained by adjusting the stroboscope at its highest flashing frequency. The flashing rate is gradually reduced and the flashing frequencies are noted for all single line images. So first adjusting the so single line image it is obtained by adjusting the stroboscope for highest flashing frequency. So first highest flashing frequency it is taken for single line image, then that flashing rate it is gradually reduced and the flashing frequencies are noted for all single line images. So by reducing the flashing rate, you can observe the different flashing frequencies for single line images that are counted. If single line images are obtained at m different flashing rates, that is f1, f2, fm. So for flashing frequency f1, the single line image it is obtained. For flashing when you decrease the frequency, again for f2, another flashing frequency that is obtained for the single line image, like that for up to fm. Now the shaft speed it is given by n equal to, you can see here, f1, f2 up to fn. So these are the different flashing frequencies for the single line image it is obtained. Now the sharp speed it is given by n equal to f1 minus fn into bracket n minus 1 upon f1 minus fn, where fn is equal to highest flashing frequency for which single line image it is obtained, then fn, that will be the lowest flashing frequency for the single line image that is obtained, and n equal to number of flashing frequencies. So these flashing frequencies refer to the frequencies at which single line images are obtained. Now this is regarding the stroboscopic methods. Thank you.